Hello my dear students, I hope you are fit and fine and your studies are also going good. In your last two classes we have discussed the short story The Scarecrow, which was written by Satyajit Ray, and today we are going to discuss the last part of it. In your last class, you found that a lot of changes occurred to the Scarecrow. The Scarecrow was moving towards Mriganko Babu. It was standing less stiffly, or the earthen pot placed above the pole turned a bit smaller, etc., etc. And lastly, you found that the Scarecrow was uttering inhuman voice, and and the voice was of Abhiram, and Abhiram was none but an ex-servant of Mriganko Babu, and Mriganko Babu remembers that Abhiram's house was somewhere near that place where Mriganko Babu's car got stopped. He remembers that Abhiram belonged to a place which was near Mankar, and Mankar was the name of a station which was next to Panagar. Now, when all these thoughts come to his mind, Mriganko Babu's mind, Mriganko Babu got terrified. Mriganko Babu got terrified. He took a few steps backwards and stood leaning against his car. Mriganko Babu took a few steps backwards in order to be away from the Scarecrow which is moving towards him, and he stood leaning against his car. Mriganko Babu, out of fear, felt as if he would not be able to stand properly. So, in order to take support, he leaned against his car. Abhiram was now much closer, standing only about 10 yards away. So now Abhiram was much closer to Mriganko Babu. He was coming towards Mriganko Babu. Now Abhiram was only about 10 yards away from Mriganko Babu. "Can you recognize me, Babu?" he asked. Now Abhiram asked Mriganko Babu if he could recognize him or not. He means Mriganko Babu. Abhiram asked Mriganko Babu if Mriganko Babu could identify Abhiram or not. Mriganko Babu mastered all his courage and said, "You are Abhiram, aren't you?" So Mriganko Babu mastered, that means gathered all his courage, and he said, "You are Abhiram, aren't you? If I am not wrong, you are Abhiram. So you did recognize me even after all these years." Now Abhiram replies that, "Yes, I am Abhiram, and so you could recognize me even though after all these years, even though after the gap of all these years, you could recognize me." Abhiram looked no different from an ordinary normal man. So the Scarecrow who turned Abhiram, the Scarecrow or the Abhiram, he looked exactly like a ordinary normal human being, and so perhaps that was why Mriganko Babu could find the courage to speak. And as Abhiram looked exactly like a normal human being, he was not looking anything horrible, anything fearful, so Mriganko Babu could gather the courage to talk to him, he could gather the courage to speak to him so easily. "Yes," he said, "it was your shirt that reminded me of you. Didn't I buy you that shirt?" Now Mriganko Babu says, "Yes, I could recognize you. It was your shirt that reminded me of you." Mriganko Babu says that it was the shirt that you are wearing. It reminded me of you. Was not that shirt which I bought for you? "Yes, that's right." Now Abhiram says, "Yes, that's right. This is that shirt which you bought for me. You did a lot for me." Abhiram showed his gratitude towards Mriganko Babu for doing a lot of things for him. But why did it all have to end so badly? Now Abhiram wants to talk about something serious. Now he wanted to talk about something that happened to him, something wrong which happened to him. He says that why, in spite of everything going good, why everything ended so badly? I was perfectly innocent. Why did not you believe me? So Abhiram says that I was perfectly innocent. I did not do anything wrong, but you did not believe me. Now Abhiram wanted to tell about his innocence. That he wanted to tell that in spite of being innocent, he was convicted of something. He was called, or he was termed guilty by everyone, and if nobody believed him, though he was innocent, though he did not do anything to them, or though he did not do any kind of harm, but he was not believed. Mriganko Babu recalled what happened 3 years ago. Now Mriganko Babu recalled what happened exactly 3 years ago. So in Mriganko Babu's mind, those things, the incident came back. Abhiram had worked for his family for 20 years. So Abhiram, he was a servant at Mriganko Babu's place who worked for 20 years. Everyone trusted him. So Abhiram was trusted by everyone as an old servant. However, one day he seemed to have lost his head. However, something wrong happened to Abhiram, and that he did that particular thing. Losing his mind means actually getting angry. Here it means doing something for which one has to repent. Okay, doing something repentable. He stole the gold watch Mriganko Babu had been given as a wedding gift. Now what was that particular thing which was supposed to be done by Abhiram? So the particular thing was that everybody supposed that that means Abhiram stole the gold watch that Mriganko Babu had given as a wedding gift. So Mriganko Babu, he was newly married then 3 years ago. So in his marriage he got a gold watch, and that gold watch got missed. Okay, it was found missing, and everybody supposed that the thief was none but Abhiram. He stole the gold watch. Abhiram denied the charge, of course, but he had had both the time and the opportunity to remove the object. So Abhiram denied the charge, of course. He will deny the charge, because everybody who steals every thief used to deny the charge. But Abhiram had the opportunity and time to remove the thing or remove the object. Also, Abhiram might remove, or Abhiram might place the gold watch in a safe place. He might have kept the gold watch in a safe place or somewhere else, and that's why he was denying the charge like every thief. Besides, when Mriganko Babu's father called a local witch doctor who cast a spell and made an ordinary wicker tray spin and rotate until it stopped pointing at Abhiram, there could possibly no doubt about his guilt. Abhiram lost his job. But apart from that, though everybody supposed that Abhiram was the thief, but Abhiram was denying the charge. And finally, Mriganko Babu's father, who was a superstitious person, he summons a witch doctor. Now, what is a witch doctor? So, in the first class, I told you that a witch doctor is a person who has magical power, who is supposed to have magical power, and who can spell magic, and who can ward off magical spell, and who can heal, and who can cure, and who can solve problems with the help of magical power. So now, in order to solve the problem of Mriganko Babu's house, that means the problem of the loss of the gold watch, Mriganko Babu's father called a local witch doctor. And and what did the witch doctor do? The witch doctor, he cast magical spell, and he made an ordinary wicker tray spin. And wicker tray means woven tray. Okay. Now he made a woven tray spin. He made a tray move. He made the tray move round and round, and rotate. Rotate means moving round and round, and until it stopped. And finally the wicker tray stopped, and it stopped pointing at Abhiram. When the wicker tray stopped, it was pointing towards Abhiram. There could possibly no doubt about his guilt, and then everybody got confirmed. Everybody became confirmed. Everybody's suspicion got confirmed that the thief was none but Abhiram. And thus Abhiram lost his job. And then Abhiram was fired from his job. He lost his job. Do you know what happened to me after I left? He now asks. Now Abhiram asked Mriganko Babu that, do you know what had happened to me after I left the job, or after I left your house? I never walked anywhere else. I could not, because I fell ill. So after leaving Mriganko Babu's house, Abhiram became ill, and so he could not walk anywhere. He did not walk anywhere. I got dropsy. So what happened to Abhiram? Abhiram got dropsy. Dropsy is a kind of disease where the joints used to get swollen due to the excess accumulation of water. So it became serious, and the dropsy that Abhiram had got, it became serious. But I had no money to go to a doctor or buy medicines and even eat properly. But because Abhiram became jobless, because Abhiram had no money for that, because Abhiram fell ill immediately after leaving the job in Mriganko Babu's house, he could not work anywhere, and so he was running out of money. And so when he became ill, he could not go to a doctor. He did not get any proper medicine, and he was living a miserable life. And he was living such a miserable life that he was starving indeed. Literally, he was starving, and because he could not eat properly. I never recovered, and he never recovered. Abhiram never recovered, and he finally died. My son kept this shirt, and after Abhiram's death, his son kept this shirt. This means the shirt which Mriganko Babu had bought for him, that red and black printed shirt. He wore it for some time, then it got torn. So after some time, the shirt which was kept by his son, it got torn. So it became something a scarecrow could wear. So it became, when it got torn, it became something that can be worn by a scarecrow only. That means it cannot be worn by any human being now. And I became that scarecrow, and the shirt was given to a scarecrow. The shirt became something which could be given to a scarecrow only, and then Abhiram became the scarecrow, and the shirt was given to him. Do you know why? And Abhiram now asked Mriganko Babu, do you know why I became a scarecrow? Because I knew that one day I would meet you again, because I was quite sure that I would be able to meet you again. So I became the scarecrow. My heart longed. Long means eagerly waiting or eagerly wishing. So my heart was eagerly wishing, deeply wishing. I was actually waiting and wishing. Yes, even a dead man can have a heart. Yes, it may seem quite unusual, but yes, a dead person can have a heart too. A dead person can also wish. A dead person can also have longings. To tell you what I learned after that. So what was Abhiram's desire? What was the wish of Abhiram? The desire of Abhiram was that means the desire of Abhiram after death was that he wanted to tell Mriganko Babu what he learned after death. That means he learned the truth after his death. So he wanted to tell the truth that he had learned to Mriganko Babu. And that's why he became the scarecrow. What did you learn, Abhiram? Now Mriganko Babu asked Abhiram about the truth that Abhiram had learned. When you go home tonight, look under your wardrobe. Now Abhiram told Mriganko Babu that when Mriganko Babu would reach his home tonight or that night, then he should look under his wardrobe. That's where you will find your watch pushed to the back. And Abhiram told Mriganko Babu that there under the wardrobe, Mriganko Babu would find his watch, and the watch is pushed to the back, or pushed to the back under the wardrobe. It has been lying there for the last 3 years, and the watch was there only for the last 3 years. It had been lying there under the wardrobe for the last 3 years. Your new servant does not sweep every corner, so he did not find it. Now, Abhiram told Mriganko Babu that after dismissing Abhiram, Mriganko Babu and his family took a new servant, and the new servant did not used to work properly. Okay, he did not used to clean the house properly. He did not used to sweep every corner of the house, and so Abhiram told Mriganko Babu that your new servant does not sweep every corner, so he did not find it. As your new servant did not used to clean every corner properly, he did not used to clean your house properly, so he did not find the watch till that day, and it was lying there only. When you get it back, you will know that Abhiram was not a thief. Now Abhiram again said to Mriganko Babu that when you go to your home, when Mriganko Babu would go to his home and he would look under the wardrobe and he would find the watch, gold watch, then he would realize that Abhiram was not a thief at all. The figure of Abhiram became hazy. Now, telling the truth, the figure of Abhiram became hazy. The scarecrow who turned Abhiram, it became hazy. Hazy means not clear. It means dim. It was already quite dark. Now the darkness has also started growing. Mriganko Babu heard his voice once more. Mriganko Babu heard the voice of Abhiram once more. Though the figure of Abhiram started becoming hazy, but he could hear the voice of Abhiram once more. Now I have found peace. After so many years, at last I have been able to tell you the truth. Abhiram said to Mriganko Babu that now I have found peace. Now I have found peace. I have found solace, because after so many years I have been able to tell you the truth. After so many years of suffering, after so many years of torments, I have finally become able to tell you the truth, that I was not guilty actually, because that I have not stolen the watch. Oh, it's such a relief. So now again Abhiram says, oh, it's such a relief. It's such a relief that I have found after telling you the truth, after making you realize that I have not, after telling you the truth, or after telling the whereabouts of the gold watch, I have found such a relief. Oh, it's such a relief. Goodbye, Babu, I must go again. Now the scarecrow bids goodbye to Mriganko Babu and says that I must go now. So after telling the truth, Abhiram's figure now disappears. Abhiram now wants to go. He bids farewell to Mriganko Babu. Abhiram disappeared before Mriganko Babu's eyes. So Abhiram disappeared. Gradually Abhiram's figure became hazy, and it finally disappeared in front of Mriganko Babu's eyes. I have brought the petrol, sir. The sound of Sudhir's voice woke Mriganko Babu up. So that suddenly Sudhir reaches and he calls Mriganko Babu and he said that I have brought the petrol, sir. The Sudhir now reached the place. Sudhir now reached from Panagar, and he had brought petrol along with him, and he now calls Mriganko Babu and told him that he had brought the petrol. And hearing the voice of Sudhir, the sound of Sudhir's voice made Mriganko Babu wake up. Okay, that means Mriganko Babu was sleeping. He was asleep. He had fallen asleep in the car thinking of a suitable plot for a story. So Mriganko Babu actually, as he went to the car, he was thinking about the plot for the story to write for the Bharat magazine, and thinking about the plot he fell asleep, and then all these happenings occurred. Okay, and hearing Sudhir's voice, he wakes up. In his hand he still held his pen. In his hand he was still holding the pen to write down the points. Okay, he was about to write down the points for his plot. No. As soon as he opened his eyes, he glanced quickly at the Scarecrow. So after opening his eyes, he looked towards the Scarecrow. Okay. He gives a sneak peek to the Scarecrow. It was still standing in the distance, exactly he had seen it before, and the Scarecrow was standing exactly like before. It was standing in distance the way he had seen it before. The way the Scarecrow was standing like the way he had seen before. He saw the Scarecrow turning into human. It was standing like that way, or it was standing like like two poles with an earthen pot, wearing torn red and black shirt, like that. Next, on reaching home, Mriganko Babu went straight to his room and he searched under his wardrobe. Then after that, Mriganko Babu and Sudhir started their journey to Calcutta, and finally they reached their home. And after reaching the home, Mriganko Babu went straight to his room and he started searching under the wardrobe. Okay, he had no difficulty in finding his watch, and he could find out the gold watch, very easily. He decided that if something ever got stolen from his house, from now on he would never seek a witch doctor's help. And now, after finding the gold watch, Mriganko Babu now made his mind. He decided that from now onwards he would never become superstitious anymore. He would never trust on any witch doctor, and he would never seek any witch doctor's help, because it was only because of their superstition that an innocent person like Abhiram had to lose his job, had to live a miserable life, and finally he had to die. And so Mriganko Babu realized that they did wrong to Abhiram, and it is not clearly mentioned in the story that whether Mriganko Babu saw Abhiram in his dream or it was reality. It is not clearly mentioned in the story, but it was it was his hallucination. It was not clearly mentioned, but the story tells that how superstition can ruin one's life. So we should never be superstitious. The story is actually a lesson that superstition is bad. Superstition can ruin one's life. So that's all for today. This story was actually originally written in Bengali, and it was later translated by Gopa Majumdar, and the name of the Bengali version of this story is Kaktarua, and it may come in your exam. Okay, and in your next class I will give you the question answer from this lesson, or from this